we will make sure that everyone has gotten a plate, make sure that you guys are nice and comfortable, and thank you everyone for coming. You know, it's really great to see you guys turn out, and you know, welcome to TCEDC, and we're going to be doing a listening session. Everyone's questions was, are we just listening or can we ask questions? Absolutely, we're all about the questions. So, you know, as you have questions, you know, this is being videotaped, you know, we post on YouTube, you know, all of the listening sessions. And so we want to make sure that people's questions are being heard. Raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you so that we can go ahead and take note of any and all comments, okay? Everyone ready? If you don't want to grab any food, senor, if you're good? Okay.
I'll lay down the remains.
All right. Well, here we go then. So thank you guys for coming. You know, it is our monthly listening session to give you updates on TCEDC projects, TCEDC progress, on what we are up to. This particular evening, we are going to discuss Mobile Matanza and Matanza moving forward, giving you guys the updates as we have them up to now, and making sure that, you know, any concerns within the community are answered. We were at a presentation with the roundtable group earlier this afternoon at 4 p.m. We just flew over here from there. And luckily I have a great team that was able to have everything in place. You know, I'd like to, first of all, you know, introduce the staff, thank them for all the work that they do, and recognize them for what an impact they make on what TCEDC is all about and how we move forward. So let's see, we've got Jennifer Paris, which is the TCEDC evaluator for all federal grants. We've got Joella Mondragon, which is my assistant. We have Amalio Malueño, which is special projects and grant writing. We've got Jillian, who is a wonderful partner through Alianza Agricultura. We have Rachel, which is outreach. So a lot of the ranchers are going to be working with Rachel, and Michaela Gonzalez is outreach. She's now our projects director as well. So she's taking care of, you know, a lot of the project coordination moving forward. We thank Will, you know, Ag Extension Officer, for all the support he brings to the table and for everything that he does. We are delighted with the presence of Paige Ryan from the New Mexico Economic Development in the state. We've got some of our board members here. So we've got Darlene B. Hill, which is a TCEDC board member. We have Juan Mendez, which is a TCEDC board member. Am I missing anybody else? No. So we've got Tyler, which is new to TCEDC, has been here a week, and he's doing outreach as well, and will be out with the ranching and farming community to try and address, you know, the issues that we're facing right now. We've got Patty Armstrong, which is our communications girl. She's the one that videotapes all of this, you know, and makes sure it gets posted and communicated out. I think the biggest part of tonight is making sure that, you know, we understand the progress that we've made, where we are at, and how we plan to move forward. You know, I think that in the past few weeks, you know, we have seen a couple of articles in the Taos News with some questions and some concerns within the community, and we want to make sure and address those, okay? Now, what I ask for is respectful communication, okay? You guys are here with questions, you guys are here to get answers, we're here to provide you with answers, but I need to be respectful of everyone's time, and I need you guys to understand that questions need to be timed, one question per person, and we will field them out with the proper individual to answer any and all questions. TCEDC project for the Matanza program has been in the works for over a year now. It has been a project that was funded by the New Mexico Food Security Grant. That New Mexico Food Security Grant was awarded through the process under the governor's office for food security. And so we were lucky enough to be awarded $1.4 million. That $1.4 million has gone into the development and the programmatic plans for the meat processing facility. And so the 2 units are on the ground. They are out by landfill. The original plan for that New Mexico Food Security Grant through TCEDC was that we were going to upgrade in our commissary kitchen, make some upgrades for value-added processing. We were going to be working with partners to be able to address school lunches and local food being put into those school and institutional meals. We were going to develop a wash and pack facility, for the growers to be able to come in and utilize the facility within our community. And we were going to develop out, plan out, and put into place a meat processing facility to enhance the mobile processing facility, the mobile slaughter unit that TCEDC already owned. Now, funding constraints, we requested 1.6, we received 1.4. Everything was cut from the budget with the exception of the meat processing. Okay, meat processing was what we moved forward with. We moved forward with the recognition and the knowledge that there would be funding for the schools to be able to tap into funding for their own purposes and their own infrastructure. I'm happy to report that the Taos Municipal Schools has been awarded $500,000 under the school infrastructure project. And you guys will have the opportunity to comment and to ask questions. That infrastructure, was put into play thanks to the participation of the county, which was through Ms. Darlene Vahil, TCEDC, and Dr. Labella, which is the Food and Nutrition Director for the Taos Municipal Schools. So they were just awarded, the school infrastructure grant, and it was in the tune of about $500,000. That will help them. They identified, so the work with the school that we do is done by them, okay? We met with Dr. Labella. Dr. Labella then consulted with her workers and her team to identify the need. That is TCEDC, okay? We're not going to assume what's good for you. We're not going to assume what you need. We're going to put into place infrastructure that is going to help the community. So when the Matanza project comes into play, it has been something that has been publicly shared throughout, okay? That you guys have, input to the development of this. We've met with you guys here in listening sessions for over a year now, where you've been able to give input on what the corrals should look like, on what the capacity of our facilities has been and will be, and that, all needs are met. We've got 2 units on the ground. We're still working on the permits. We know what needs to be done. We don't claim to be the best at what we do, but we have experts at the table to be able to cover what needs to be done. Not the ones that are going to be out there building the infrastructure and putting the fences up or the corrals. There's a specialist we're working for that. We go through the New Mexico Environment Department for wastewater and water treatment. That we will go in front of the commission for a special use permit, because that is the regulation. Everything is being done by the book. Everything that needs to be addressed will and is being addressed. And so I think that bottom line, the performance that you've seen by TCEDC is for this infrastructure, and to make sure that the infrastructure is in place for an economic and viable, sustainable food system within our community. So with that said, I know that people want to get to comments and questions. Mobile Matanza, have a committee, we'll form a committee, so we're moving forward, the input. There's ranchers here that have been at the table since the get-go. I've told you, from the beginning that you guys are going to be a part of the development, and that's absolutely true. We've got new people, at the table that have come through. So we want to hear from all of you. We want to know where you guys are at and what your thoughts are. So Q&A, questions? You guys want to start out with questions? Comments?
You got one right here?
Okay.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Mark Flores. I'm the president of the Taos Schools. And I just want to comment as to how beneficial this will be to our students and to our community. Taos has historically been an agricultural community. My grandparents were farmers and ranchers. I currently ranch and farm. And I just have a comment that within the United States, it's been proven that 2% of the population actually feed the 98% of the population. And here in Taos, some of these people that are in opposition of this great endeavor are claiming that it's only going to benefit 1 or 2% of the community. Well, that 1 to 2% is what feeds the community. So I think that we need to rally together and continue to support this great endeavor.
Great, thank you. Quick questions, guys. If you guys can state your names and any affiliation that you might have.
My name is Bethany, and I'm not affiliated.
We're a little closer, yeah.
Okay, I don't want to blow you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of referencing an article that came out in December stating the mayor, chairperson, Matanza saying the goal was to grow it to 250 a week. So I know right now the goal is 50, but it was mentioned 150 was the eventual goal. I know the need is there. I know the need is there. And then you also mentioned that with the increased access and profitability, it would be beneficial for folks that are doing it now to increase their work and then kind of increase the demand. So just curious about long term.
I can't really hear you.
I'm so sorry.
That's much better.
Okay. So looking at long-term growth, either capping it or how big will this get?
So, as we did, again, we were at a roundtable discussion earlier, so there's two other people that participated in this. One was Will, the Ag Extension Officer, and Jillian, with Agricultura de Taos. The capacity is the words up to. You guys were handed a fact sheet, the words, and it wasn't the mayor, being quoted on that. It was our plant manager, it was our Matanza manager, that Lucas Salazar, that was, stating to up to, 150. First clarification, so it's a TCEDC project, okay? TCEDC went out for funds, TCEDC secured the funds. In order for a nonprofit in New Mexico to receive funds from the state, because of the anti-donation clause, we need a fiscal sponsor, okay? So that fiscal sponsor was the county, okay? So the county took the project on with financial management for that and provided, that red tape clarification for us to receive those funds. We need a fiscal sponsor. So that's how the county came to the play. That they have vested interest in moving forward with food and agricultural initiatives to support food and ag, absolutely, But the development of the meat processing facility is a TCEDC project. We pulled in and we're trying to be vested in the idea of public-private partnerships, That is the movement, here, to try and make sure that we have a counterbalance with what, we as a nonprofit can bring to the table, what the town can bring to the table, and what the county can bring to the table. That's partnership, okay? That is what we're developing and offering with this project, a once in a lifetime, this collaboration and this partnership with the town and the county. We have to take advantage of the momentum. So TCEDC, as a 501c3 community development company, went out, requested the funds, were funded for this New Mexico Food Security Grant, but it is a TCEDC project. The size and the capacity of our meat processing facility, on the ground, is 50 carcasses. We can process up to 50 carcasses a week, okay? That is our capacity. That can change. Even though the structures may be 5 separate, and they're refrigerated units, okay? It's not a brick and mortar, it's something that is going to be 5 separate modules, to be able to process up to 50 animals. The reality in that is a lot less. What we can grow up to is 50. That 10 years from now, we are able to do any more than that is possible, and we do want to attain that because that's where the economic viability for our ranchers is. I've got a rancher here, Andy Martinez, that wants to make a statement.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment, where the facility that has been purchased can hang 50 carcasses, but
Thank you. Where the facility that has been purchased can hang 50 carcasses, in practice, that would mean typically processing 25 a week. And because you have to age that meat from 10 to 14 days, So I guess you could do 50 at one time, but then you couldn't do any more for 2 weeks until you processed out, aged or processed out what you've already basically put in that locker.
Yeah.
And so,
That is correct.
in practice, 25 a week is probably the maximum, and which is about the smallest size of slaughter plant that you can have economically, with a 4 to 5 person workforce.
Yep.
So it's relatively lean and mean in terms of operations.
Yeah. And again, under USDA standards, we're categorized small to very small. So the potential, is just not there.
Mercedes, I want to jump up. The second part of that question is a great question of, would this entice people to increase their herd sizes automatically because you have an economic output? The thing to remember with grass-fed finish, who's eating a cull cow straight off the range? It's not great, okay? For grass-fed finishing, there's going to be a lot of quality control work that's going to need to be done. If you're trying to finish on grass, you have to do kind of a leader-follow herd rotation. To do that, oftentimes people will actually lower your stocking rates because you want to have the best possible feed out there. That's not saying that we're going to have rest cows in the future, but again, the target would be a higher quality feed, e.g. grass, that's out there. Something that we haven't talked about, we focused a lot of this facility on cattle. It's going to be processing sheep and goats as well. And there's a lot of space out there in the landscape in small fields, fallow fields, irrigation, or acequia fields that are smaller scale for goats and sheep. And this is going to benefit that as well. And again, the benefits of rotational grazing, of having ruminant animals out there, encouraging soil health with rotational practices, which is now, y'all, I've been around a lot of the state. Taos is pretty amazing for how many people are practicing healthy soils programs, doing rotational grazing, putting electric fence out there. It's pretty impressive. We really are on the forefront of a lot of these processes at a smaller scale. So it's not about more cows, it's about a better quality feed.
My name is Rosie Mondragon. I know a lot of the people in here, and I'd like to take the time to thank you. We're ranchers, we're sheep herders, and it's tough to make a profit. We just went to Colorado yesterday and spent over $500 on bales. So I want to thank your efforts. This is going to change how we feed our communities. We have farmers markets with fresh vegetables. Give us the opportunity to provide fresh meats to our community. We know what they eat. We know where they graze. We know our cattle, and it's not we're sending them off to die a horrible death. We're sending them off to be humanely processed so we can feed our communities. And the one question I had is, I know you secured the $1.4 million of funding. How will it be funded ongoing in the future?
So the long-term answer to that is we need to start making money. So it's a business, okay? We are a nonprofit, it's a business. We need to start generating that. We are a fee-for-service, so basically we are here to make sure that these ranchers, if you guys already have your customers, then you're just processing with us, and we provide a service for a fee. If you guys need help opening those markets and you guys need, assistance in going into the markets, again, we are working with the Taos Municipal Schools now. Our goal is to have those institutions cover this local healthy meat. Again, it could be sheep, it could be beef. And so the long-term goal is we need to be income generated. Short-term goal to finish up is we are looking at the states for funds. We did secure a USDA grant that is going to help us with a lot of the educational components. So we realize that, for this to happen, we do need, people like Will, like Jillian, that are going to be educating, about regenerative ag, about rotational grazing, and about healthy soils, That is very important, and that is something that, as our nonprofit goes into this endeavor, it was thought of. So we went out and we found funds under USDA to be able to do that. We need healthy soils. And so what we've been talking about is, with Alianza Agricultura, we already have a partnership that is going to do farm visits. We're going to have a mentorship program for beginning farmers and ranchers to be able to help you guys get into market, get healthy soils, and provide these markets with this healthy local meat, okay? So we're looking at all funds, private, state, and federal, to go on. The long term is to stop that dependency. They will be part of the project to get started and to build our foundation, but we need to be income generating. We need to make sure that you guys, as the ranchers and the farmers, are making money and that things are getting paid out of the project.
My name is Carlos Arguello. Got a question in terms of the size of the property that this is going to sit on. Is it 1 acre, 2 acres, 5 acres?
It's 5 acres.
Okay, so by virtue of the fact that it's only 5 acres, that right there is going to restrict the amount of, it's not going to become a 100 acres
Exactly.
feedlot, which is, I think, what a lot of people are afraid of. You get 100 acres and you get, 5,000 animals on there. Well, yeah, that's going to create a stink, but this is, you're restricted and it's not going to. Now, my other question is, when a farmer brings in an animal, it's not going to sit there for weeks, then be getting fattened up. That animal's already come in grass-fed and finished, so it's only going to be in there for a short amount of time before it gets processed. That in itself is going to restrict the amount of manure that's produced in the wastelands, is that correct?
Correct. So we are not a feedlot. The corrals are going to be provided for 1 day or overnight, just enough time to make sure that they're being harvested either the next day or that same day. So that the size of the facility, again, just as Andy explained, because we have a capacity of 50, that limits everything. The size of the land, that limits. And so we are not looking at anything but our local communities. We want to make sure that we have that local dollar stay local, and that local meat, is making these ranchers, some income. That's exactly right, Carlos.
Hello folks, I'm Don Adams. I've got a question for the room. Show of hands, everybody that's in favor of this program. Show of hands, everybody that's against it. So, I've been involved in a bunch of the opposition against this thing, and I've heard so many comments in the last week. Jillian, I don't even know how I got involved in all this. But to give you a little bit of idea where I come from. I grew up here in Taos. I graduated from Taos High School in 1980. I left for 27 years and I worked in either the feed yard business, the packing business, or related businesses that supplied both of them for that 27 years. I managed feed yards. I went through a management training process for feed yards. So I know intimately about feed yards. So if you have a question about a feed yard, I'll be happy to answer it. We don't have any anywhere even close to us. So for those of you that may be confused about capacities of a plant like this thing's tiny. This is nothing. This plant has been, this last week, has been compared to Tyson plants, JBS plants. Their kill floor is 5 acres. I mean, I've done plant surveys in these plants. I've spent days and weeks and months inside these plants. Unfortunately, I didn't like it, but I had to because my boss told me to. So if you have questions about that, ask somebody you know in the room that has experience with these. Don't trust what the New York Times or CNN or whatever. Taos News, I'm sorry. Taos News, man, they get some stuff wrong. Show of hands. Who's involved in regenerative agriculture directly today? That's good. Anybody know where regenerative agriculture came from?
Rodale.
I'm sorry?
Rodale.
I couldn't hear that.
The Rodale
Institute.
Institute. The Rodale
Institute.
No, it came from Alan Savory. He was the pioneer. Holistic management,
When was that?
they had a big split. Huh?
When was that?
Oh, Alan Savory's? It's way back,
I'm
60s.
laughing at you.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I mean, it's way
So
back.
am I.
If you really wanna look something kinda cool up, I don't know if you guys listen to TED Talk, I do intermittently, but go in there and look up Alan Savory and desertification. And you write that down and look it up, it's really interesting, but there's lots of things that have spawned off. HMI in Albuquerque, Covera Coalition, those are they've all spawned off of Alan Savory's principles. Regenerative ag is built on the principles of Alan Savory. Who knows what the #1 principle for Alan Savory was? As it really applies to our culture today. Huh?
I said, I don't even know that cat.
Building soil. How do you build soil?
My
How
grandfather
do you trap carbon?
died.
How do you trap carbon in the soil? What's the very best way to trap carbon in the soil? Huh?
Animal impact.
Done correctly. I'll be the first one to tell you that overgrazing or undergrazing is just as detrimental as correct grazing. So there's a few people in this room that I know that do that on a regular basis. Mark over here has done it for years. Who buys their meat from SIDS? One person? Oh, okay. Is it good? I haven't bought it there in a long time. Is it good? Is it good beef?
Chicken, turkey.
No, I'm sorry. I'm specifically talking about the beef.
The grass-fed beef.
Is it good?
Meyer or Salazar, yes. It's good. I can't hear this grass talk. So
So do you know where it came from?
Colorado.
No. Those were the few of the people that were on the board initially, but yeah. So it actually comes from Sweetgrass Co-op via La Montanita Co-op, which has a distribution warehouse in Albuquerque, and they supply SIDS. I don't know who's growing for it now. I was on the original board. We started Sweetgrass Co-op. So you can look their website up and you can look up their protocols on what, if you're curious about what it takes to produce the kind of beef that you're talking about. So this information is out there. It's out there if you just know where to look. That's my purpose for talking to you all tonight, is just to give you the information to find the people that actually have the correct information. And the only thing I'm going to say about the corrals is I've been asked to look at this corral situation for the, excuse me, for the slaughter plant. It's small. It hasn't even, the final design hasn't even been made yet. But it is relatively small. It is based around a 50 head capacity. Now that's 50 total head. That could be a mixture of sheep, cattle, pigs, whatever. It could be. And so for those of you that are confused about that, you have to keep those classes of animals separate. So there's going to be a lot of individual pens. There is going to be a lot of work that goes into making these pens animal friendly. I mean, I'm not. The principles are hers, yes. There's actually a guy that's taken her principles and expanded on them, and she's gone. But it is low stress management, and so all of that's being factored into this.
Okay, great, thank you. You don't allow everyone,
She
thank you.
is alive, I just want to throw that out there, she's not dead.
Yeah.
She just presented.
She's alive.
Okay, that's my misspoke, she's not dead.
She's actually speaking at a conference.
It's going to be in Monday.
This morning.
Okay, guys. Order in the court.
Hi, my name is Coral Ann. I'm with Taos Village Farms, and I am 7 years new to Taos, but I'm married to a 5th generation Taoseña now. And I am mostly worried. It's really nice to hear that everybody's raising their hand and is a proponent of this project. But as a person that's very networked with this community, as a hairdresser, and anyway, I get out there, I'm concerned about the people petitioning it. I think they have very strong voices that are loud and also possibly fake news. And I'm, scared because Taos really has a great way to build those roots and make chaos, as you've seen in other situations with other businesses. So my question is, how are we getting the truth out, and how are we going to market what's really happening? Because I think there's a lot of homeowners that are in the area, and other people that are very concerned about what the slaughterhouse will smell like, what it will look like, how it will affect their property value. And as a person that we take our meat all the way to Canyon City, Colorado to be properly processed USDA, we lose so much money in how many runs we have to take our goats to, that our meat has to go to a higher price, $14 a pound right now, which is actually pretty good if you look online. And so I really want this to happen for so many reasons, but mostly what I want to happen is I want the people that are resisting this to know the truth. And how do we market that? How do we get that out there? How do we let locals know why this is a great thing? So that's my question.
Good question. So it's by having these forums, it's by having these listening sessions, it's by posting our stuff, yeah. You know, it's by posting it on our webpage. Again, it's a TCEDC project, you know, that people are going to the town and the county to get answers. You know, this is where you need to get answers. There's a fact sheet going around. And it's an ongoing fact sheet. As things change and as things get accomplished, that's going to be updated, you know, so we are, you know, going to be ongoing. We need to respond, you know. I think right now it's been very one-sided, you know, and that petition going around the roundtable group that we presented to earlier, you know, the comment was, you know, that petition should have happened after you got all the facts, you know, after. That petition is something that we're still questioning the legality of, because they don't even state their counties, you know, so are they really county residents, you know? So I think that we keep our efforts and our minds in the right position. We share our stories, you know, we make sure that everybody you talk to, you know, you approach them with your story and why it is important, and we counteract that, you know. All of this stuff, I'm not a social media person. I don't have a Facebook. I don't have anything, you know. So, you know, the stuff that I've heard that is going on Facebook, you know, is very deterring, you know. And I know that, you know, it's something that we have to inform and educate, you know. We're not going to be part of the mitote, as they say here. You know, we can't waste any energy on that. We've got to continue to move forth. You know, this is a project. They keep calling it a proposed project. It's a happening project. It's going forward, you know. This is the commitment from TCEDC to the ranchers. And so, you know, that we have to share our stories. If you guys have ways that you feel we should be moving forward, then let's hear them, you know. Let's you know, see what you guys feel we need to move forward. We're here for you guys. Jillian?
Carl-Ann, thank you for caring about getting the word out, because John and I'm actually 20 and he's actually 30. But the last week of communicating with people has aged us immensely. Anyone who was in the last meeting noticed that I started to lose my temper a little bit, because I have been talking about this so much and trying so hard to dispel all of the misinformation. There's only so much Mercedes can do, there's only so much I can do. I've been joking, unfortunately, there are no grants out there to respond to misinformation and crazy people. I cannot go to Taos Community Foundation and ask them to pay for my time to communicate to the community. So we need this to be a real civic engagement effort. We need your help. There was that op-ed in the Taos News a couple weeks ago that was really should have been better fact-checked, frankly, by the editor. It was rife with misinformation. Sorry, Taos News. And we need lots of op-eds talking about what this means to you, what this means for our community, what this means for our school system, what this means for our farmers market and our restaurants and our land-based communities and our acequias and carbon sequestration and climate change and all the things that this can help with. We need your voices. So please, help me and John get off of Facebook and stop taking phone calls and emails. Please get out there and get your voice heard. If there are any facts you don't have, this woman has every fact known. All the people who have been coming to these listening sessions, she has shared every single, I could probably, if I thought about it, tell you the physical dimensions of every part of this plant, because she has presented them to us so many times. There are so many people with the right information out there. So please, if you don't have it, ask questions from people who actually know what they're talking about and get that word out there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Sexton. I bought Adrian Cannon's AA Ranch.
Yay, good friend.
Okay.
I'll just speak out loud because
Yes,
feedback
yell.
problem. So I had, couple weeks ago, I had 31 sheep. Now I have 52. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with all the meat on my property. I'm wondering what the update is for when I'll be able to bring animals in for processing.
Good question, I'd like to know too. There's been so many constraints, and obviously, we got started on a project through the pandemic, not as an answer to the pandemic, but as a known fact that it was needed. So now we need utilities out there. We're working through a LEDA process to be able to work, on getting the utilities out there. The mobile Matanza is back in town. The mobile Matanza is here and ready to go. The 2 units are in place and ready to go. So once we get the utilities in, then I think we could be able to start on a small scale, with what we have going on. There's a couple of things that needs to happen. We've got a capital outlay request out there. So it's our hope to be up and going in the fall of this year in a small scale. Being able to meet, the demands of this group here, per se. Again, don't have all of the control in our power. There's so many factors that have to play into that. But that is our hope, that we understand the urgency, absolutely. That we are out there, going to the legislative sessions and plugging in with the proper people, that we are getting the word out, that we make sure that we have the numbers and that we represent properly for what's going on in our community. All of that is happening. So it's definitely not lack of effort. It is not lack of work or ethic. The belief in this has been full force. We have a couple of our staff, that get up in 3 in the morning thinking, what's going to happen today, so that you guys share your stories and that we hurdle through these things is essential, because we can focus on the job at hand. And the job at hand is getting that project on the floor, making sure that you're taking care of, that you're taking care of, and that these needs are being met. So, it's fall of 2024 is our hope. We'll, leave it up to it's not a lack of effort.
September, October, November?
Probably October, so, that's part of the work group, that we need to try and decide, the best time for things to happen. And the sooner the better is the answer for most everyone, anyway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to respond to your statement. It's volunteerism. The solution is volunteers, and we don't need people to volunteer 40 hours a week. We only need people to give us the time that they can afford to help us move this initiative forward. We have your names. You've been very helpful in putting your names and contact information down there. There are things that we can organize to help you help us. But volunteerism is one of the ways that nonprofits exist. And just one other point that I wanted to make in response to, I forgot your name, sir. John. There's some context here that many people are not aware of. One is that when Mercedes mentions 1 or 2 years of processing this funding and getting the Matanza going, it's not 1 or 2 years. This has been going since 2005. And it was the result of research that Patty Martinson, Terry, and myself did on how to stimulate the local livestock ranchers in northern New Mexico by lowering their costs and helping them bring their product to the local market efficiently so that they can make a profit. And the original proposal that I wrote with Patty and Terry was funded for $500,000 in 2005. The other things that the thing that people don't know is it was running for 15 years. right?
5.
But 5, 10, whatever. But that pilot funding provided TCEDC with very important information that we shared with USDA, New Mexico Department of Agriculture, and we funded this program several times through the support of the New Mexico Department of Agriculture and the USDA for those years. So this is not something that just sprung up like mushrooms. This was the direct result of a concentrated and principled community development program, funding and implementation. So those are just the few things that I wanted to provide in terms of context for this. And we need volunteers, that's good.
I'll try to make this really quick. We came here 9 years ago to look at land, and one of the first people I met was Mercedes, and we talked about this program, and she was looking for funding then. How many people here have a Facebook page and use it? Okay, you gotta step up and you gotta be bold. The reason I am here today is because I saw the notice for the roundtable meeting. I received a petition online, and I saw the notice for this meeting. And then I flew back at the people who had sent me the petition to sign. A lot of them are very liberal friends of mine. By the way, I'm a raving progressive. But I understand how important this is to our community and the survival of the people here. There is serious stuff coming at us, and we have to be ready. So what I want to say to you is, I will volunteer, and I will help you with your PR, but I need everybody here who has a Facebook page to push back. This is why it's important to my family. This is why it's important to my community. This is not new. There's been a year opportunity of input. Please catch up with us. Get a fact sheet. That's your message to them. And Mercedes, I'm going to see you tomorrow to get that fact sheet. We're going to get on the radio, and we're going to start talking about this, even down in Santa Fe. Because if it's good enough for Taos, it's good enough for the whole state. Stand up, be proud, and be loud. I organize progressives all the time. It's your turn.
You know, talking to the, Mercedes, can you hear me there? There you go. Thank you so much. I just got a text from the offer of those vacations that exist out there. And
900.
900? And she just told me that she's going to be on our side. After some of this information that was...
We got to talk, because I think I might have flipped her.
So we've got a couple of individuals that are coming back, Mercedes. That's a good sign. And before we disclose some of that information, we certainly give you a lot of credit, you and your staff. And Will and Jillian out there. There you go. And, just keep on trucking. We'll get us operation.
Hi, my name is Tanya, and we've only been here a few years, but my mother is a Gonzalez de Valerio, so I grew up coming here. And I'm not going to lie, I'm in a group chat right now trying to educate them. They're all against this, and I'm here to learn. I don't have a side. I think we're all in this together regardless of how we feel about it. But they keep bringing up about water getting toxins. What would be your response to them? Because I would like to make them more aware, and I've already scolded them that they should be here learning themselves.
Absolutely, and I think that if we hand Will, the microphone as well, and Jillian's got a lot to say about this, but, you know, the thing about it again is we live in this community. You know, my staff, our partners, we all are part of this community. You want to make sure to keep this community safe. We don't want to bring any toxins to our water. We drink the same water, so we would never move forward with something that's going to cause that, okay? But there is, you know, we are abiding by all the regulations. We are receiving all the permits that are needed. We are looking at wastewater systems. We are looking at cleaning and reusing the water. You know, so everything in advanced technology is being looked at, and we are addressing all issues, okay? That you hear that there's 150 gallons of water being used for each carcass. That one beef can feed a family of 4 for a year or more, okay? And when you look at statistics that, you know, Jillian keeps bringing up and mentioning about the use in restaurants, hotels, and all of the industry, again, one beef will feed a family of 4, probably longer than a year. Andy, what do you think? Probably longer than a year, okay? So.
Yeah, so like Mercedes said, it's gonna have its own wastewater treatment plant. It's not gonna be hooked up to the town sewers, my understanding, it would be its own holding tank or septic.
Correct.
And so in that regard, it's, you know, the same as all of the houses that are out in that direction that have septics.
It's totally.
Yeah, you're pretty much, in that kind of environment, where the aquifer is on that side of the valley, you're not gonna have any contact between whatever's going on at a local septic scale and any kind of underground aquifers. And additionally, you know, when we think about sedimentation and the main threats to water quality in New Mexico, it's non-point source pollution. It's erosion, it's sediment. I'll put them on blast right now, the Ski Valley's construction projects up there. Go up there and take a look at all the stuff running down from all that construction. So, you know, having a wastewater plant in place, having that kind of separation from aquifers, yeah, that's not really gonna be a concern. And these kind of scale of processors, I don't think that kind of concern really comes up. It's
Absolutely. There's this young lady that has been waiting forever to get green down here.
Thank you. I'll see if I can do it without the
Thank you for coming. Have a good evening.
Oh, okay. Hi there. Hi. My name's Leanna. Since you're anticipating like a fall-ish opening, have you considered wild game? Is that something that's possible for the processing, or that's out?
It's not. I mean, it can be a possibility down the line, but because of the USDA inspection that's gonna happen and all the regulation we have to abide by, we can't do any wild game within the same day. So we're gonna concentrate too,
Yeah, that, I totally get that. Does that mean then that all animals that are processed there need to be brought there alive to be fully, completely?
Correct.
Okay. And then also it's like a two-part kind of question. I'm just kind of wondering about the USDA like retail aspect of the meat that the farmers, ranchers bring in and are able to resell. Is that gonna be like a two-stage thing where if you're just bringing it in for your family to eat, it's like a lower cost, or you have to pay more to have it be able to be sold at retail? Like, how would that work?
John has to.
So, USDA inspected meat, I'm fine, I'm pretty loud. USDA inspected meat means that you can sell that meat to the public. Okay, so there's a couple different ways when you go into these plants. If you're doing it for your own consumption, then that processor is gonna label that for private use, not for sale, something like that. If it's a USDA inspected beef, then somebody brought up hanging time. Unfortunately, if you're USDA, they tell you how long you get to hang the meat. No, it is. That inspector can decide on any given time when he checks those carcasses whether something needs to be processed or not. Now, you know, in grass-fed versus grain-fed, there's a big difference on hang times and stuff like that. But basically, that's a USDA inspected plant. Gives everybody in this room that raises cows, sheep, pigs, whatever it is, goats, it gives all of us an opportunity to sell our products locally.
Right.
So I can get a USDA stamp of approval and sell it right here. Whereas it is right now.
Or to SIDS, or to
Yeah, to grocery stores, to restaurants, to, yeah.
Make some money in it.
Exactly.
Keep the money in our
In addition
community.
to that, if to your question about the cost, it really doesn't, you know, because the inspector, the USDA inspector is of no cost.
I was just wondering if there were like 2 tiers, if you knew you weren't planning on selling your stuff retail, if you could like opt out of.
So here's where I see that can come into play and we can do something about it. Those people who process personally for personal consumption, we'd probably be able to process more of those faster because we don't have to depend on the one USDA inspector coming in to inspect, you know? And so I know, yeah, so it really is going to be able to allow that. It's the same inspector, the same facility, we're gonna operate in the same fashion. Like John is saying, the USDA inspection is opening the retail and the wholesale side of things, you know, that you want to feed your family, then same sanitary, same process, you know, we're gonna abide by the belief anyway, you know, we sanitation, respect it, so. You have a mic? Are you allowed to?
Can everybody hear me? My name's Rick Allison, and I have a ranch just south of Costilla. It's called Ute Mountain Farms. My family's been up there since 1960. It was a potato farm, and we started running cattle 20 years ago. Anyway, John and I will have the argument later about how the hang time. I process 3 steers a month, and it's based on demand. You know, I could process a lot more, but most of my beef goes to Denver. I do a couple restaurants here in Taos, and then we do quite a bit out in Angel Fire and Eagle Nest. And we practice holistic range management as well. Been doing that for a while. I've got Alan Savory's Bible that a neighbor told me about. Anyway, what I would suggest, mine go to Colorado, and there's a USDA plant that I go to in West Cliff. There's a commercial one where it's not for sale, personal use that I sell to individuals. That is not USDA. Both are extremely clean, and if you have questions about anything, those people will give you a tour of their plant. I mean, they're extremely clean. No smell, and they process quite a bit throughout the year. And you know, the way they do it, it's quite an intense schedule. You know, they always keep the freezers full. You know, and they hang for me 21 days, and that's what's critical for me, because mine are grass-fed and grass-finished, and 10 days just doesn't cut it. You know, it's going to be tough, and so we hang for 21 days. So if you have any questions about the processing and the marketing and whatnot, I mean, I'd rather spend that $3,000 to $4,000 a month in Taos than Colorado. Right. But there's just nothing around here. So, I'm all for the processing plant here, and as far as the Facebook thing, I think it's one of the most evil technology that was ever created. I understand the enemy uses it.
No, it's not just the enemy. This town relies a lot on Facebook. Yeah. More than anywhere.
My name is Daniel Little. I think you've done your due diligence. I don't agree with this trying to change other people's opinions at all, because they could never change mine as far as my lifestyle and what I do. So I think since you've done your due diligence, just plant those feet. Let's just go forward. $4,000 a month, you'll be making, all this stuff works for us, making us a sustainable community. So, opinionated in Taos, I love it.
My name is Virgil Martinez, and I've been a rancher up in northern part of the county here. And we need to work all together on this organization that we're trying to do, because we have put a lot of hours into get these things funded and move forward. You know, when we first started, we even invited West Side Economic Development, that Chevron money that they were putting out there. They never even listened to this kind of meeting. You know, they kind of threw it to the side. So we continue trying to get other federal programs, and so that's why we had to get Taos County involved, and we were moving forward on it. But the thing is that now that we have the thing going in the right direction, these people that are against us, we need to have them join us and work with us. And we probably can give them 2 seats in our board, because we don't want to fail. That's something we don't want to do. We don't want to fail, because it would cost us a lot of money if we fail. You know, the reason that we done all this is even to hold our tax values down. That some people probably don't understand on the tax values, but if it wouldn't be for the ranching and farming, our tax values won't be where they're at today. So those are things that we need to really consider and work together with one another and move forward. But if we start listening to people like the Taos News, we're going to fail. You know, because they don't have nothing good to say to this community. Everything's a negative or starting a war. You know, we don't need to start any wars or start any problems. We need to work together. But for now, you know, I got some facilities up north that we're not going to bring all the livestock over here in one day and start killing them. You know, I got facilities over there that we're going to probably leave them there for a week, make sure that they're clean before they start getting butchered, and we're going to have probably another facility here in Taos, another facility up in the Peñasco area, you know, for people from different directions. That way we have a schedule of who's coming in on what lease. Because like you guys say, we're lucky we'll be able to get 50 a week. You know, and we're very lucky. But we need to start somewhere, and if we all work together, I am willing to help you guys more and more. But I just don't want to be wasting my time coming from up north to meetings over here and started fighting the Taos News. You know, I done that for 8 years in a row when I was county commissioner, and the Taos News to me was a headache. You know, because they never done nothing to improve the community. And we need to work together in this community as far as we can. So, and I'm open for questions. If you have any questions, I'm open for questions, because I like to answer for some of those reasons that you probably need to know.
Did you say you approached the West Economic Development Fund about this Matanza, bringing the Matanza to West?
We approached them at one time for them to come to our meeting, and they never showed up. It was the thing of the COVID and all this and that. So we weren't able to get nowhere. Okay, and they have an area over there that they call it a park, that they could open up a business. But I don't see nothing. We had a lobbyist from that area to kind of help us get money. I showed up to one of the meetings in Cuesta, the village council one night, and he was there. We weren't even in the agenda. You know, that was pretty sad. When I met him there, I started talking to him on the hallway. The girl went out and said, "You guys better keep the low voice or get out of here." Because I told him, "Why are you wasting my time? We're not even in the agenda." You know, and that's the kind of thing that we have to really work together, because it took a big effort from Merced and the organization here, from the mayor, you know, that they were giving this support. And it's not only for some individuals here, it's for the whole county.
Exactly, and we do have representation for you guys now. Rachel Villalpando comes from the Cotilla area. She's made it a point herself to make sure to recruit some of the farmers and the ranchers from there. We have representation here right now because of her. You know, so she is going to be out there. And again, it is for the entire county. You know, it is for all of the residents. You know, there isn't a certain few or the gifted. You know, so thank you for your time. Who has the microphone?
Question, the gentleman from Youth Mountain Ranch, he brought up a very good point in that, as you guys are, again, finalizing your business model, I would hope or like that you guys would consider, maybe, being able to age longer at a cost. For instance, like if I wanted to age that 21 days and I'm willing to pay for it, if that could be something that is an option. Again, quality of your vehicles way up if you can age it.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely, and it's that type of input that we need, moving forward, to be able to satisfy the need, so we want that to Colorado, so absolutely, that is why the Matanza Committee is being put into place, that's why all of the opinions are gonna be taken into consideration, and the business plan is being developed. I mean, I don't know that everybody knows, but Lucas Salazar is who our facility manager is going to be. He runs his successful business out of Matanza, Colorado. So, he is, a force to be reckoned with. Best thing I like about him is his easy nature, He comes from for-profit, so he knows how to penny pinch, but he doesn't cut corners. So he is all about the regulation, so with him being, for-profit and having to measure his water and be, really conservative with the water that he uses and how he, reuses water. I mean, all of those things are being taken into place. One of the best things about Lucas is staff. He wants to make that commitment to his people. He knows that this is a hard job. He knows that not everybody's gonna step up to the plate to be a meat processor, so he wants to, build in incentives to be able to keep the workforce. If we're gonna take the time to train people, then we need to have adequate wages for that sector. People need to be recognized for that talent. They're saying out there that we're bringing people in from outside, we have the talent in-house. So housing is not gonna be a problem because they're already here, So the TCEDC commits to hiring locally. TCEDC commits to education, for the staff and the team members. So we will, be planning this facility out with safety in mind for the workers as well. Mental health was brought up in another meeting. Absolutely. Farming and ranching and mental health has always been an issue and it's never been addressed. It's never been looked at. So all of those are parts of our project, so thank you guys. Who has the?
I was wondering, we were talking, since there are several steps and there's things that are in place, is there a PowerPoint of some kind? Is there something that lists, this is the facility, this is the corral, this is how many goats and sheep and cows, and here's how many employees, here's how long they hang in the freezer, here's where the wastewater goes?
Absolutely. So this fact sheet that I talked about is a work in progress. So as we get the facts and as we build that out, then that fact sheet is going to be updated. We do have the facility layout already, so the layout is there. It can be shared. I'll have Patty post it, and can be shared out. That is the way it was designed. That is the way we're looking to move forward with. Again, as we approach and as we're going for permitting and licensing and all the hoopla, then this fact sheet will be updated. Right now, there's 2 units out there. They're already on their stem walls. We've got the mobile slaughter unit ready to go. And now we have to, plan the rest of the facility out. Our plan right now is utilities. We need to get utilities out there. So as that moves along, then we'll move forward. The people that we're working with each process, we'll update that fact sheet as we go along. The commitment from the webpage is there, so we'll post stuff there. You guys need information, request it through there. Open door policy. So we have an open door policy. You guys can walk into our office, with questions, with comments. I always say, I want to hear the problems because I want to address the problems, but I also need solutions, okay? So you guys need to come to us and let us know that you don't agree with something, that's not the way it should be done, but find a solution, Problems, I have a basket full back here, so come to me with the solutions as well.
The problem seems to be a bunch of people who don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, right. And again, step up, share your stories. The more we unite, the more this is not. We are, this gentleman down here that we're not part of the Mitotes. We don't want to be a part of the Mitotes. We move forward, we have a focus, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, we're following that light, and we're getting this accomplished, that there has been no funds, from these federal grants to pay for the development of this process is true. I've moved forward to do whatever needs to be done with funds that I have to come find, The federal grants don't pay for development process, so that they will pay for staff to educate and to teach people regenerative ag, absolutely. But for development, there's just not, so we've had to do it however we've figured it out. We've gotten this far. I'm very proud of all of you, because it's taken all of us to get to where we're at. And so we're not giving up, we're not turning back, we're gonna get stronger. I've said, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, and guess what? You ain't gonna kill me, so. Just gonna get stronger. Who has the microphone?
I know we're shooting for October-ish. Have you guys determined processing fees? Right now, we're paying per pound, and we're also paying a kill fee. And I know it'll be different based on animal and whether it's for home use or USDA process. Have you guys talked about that yet?
Home use and USDA, I don't think we'll have a price difference, but we want to be competitive, so Lucas is looking at that, and making sure that we are competitive. Again, we're a fee-for-service type of entity, and so that you guys are not going to have to travel the distance that, we're down here, is going to make a difference. But we do want to, be competitive. So the prices are being looked at as we speak to make sure that we come to a price point that is acceptable, that you guys can work with. And again, as we move along, we have great people at the table. Arrowhead Center from NMSU, NMSU is been at the table. They are helping us. They helped us with the business plan development. They helped us with research, with retail and wholesale studies. They've got a whole bunch of information that is useful. But again, who is going to make this project and who's going to carry out this project is you guys. So the input that you guys have for us moving forward is what we're going with. We are a fee for service. So if you guys have your own clients, more power to you. We'll process for you, hand it to you, you sell it. You need help being placed in the markets, then that's where we are. We have standing partnerships right now with New Mexico Grown Program. That's the legislative efforts right now to get in-state inspection are happening, as we speak. Jillian, has been, lobbying out there to get state inspection done. And it's a good thing that it's a bad thing. You know what? It's local. It's to supply local, and that's what we're all about. So New Mexico grown, New Mexico raised, New Mexico sold. If we can get inspection with that, then absolutely. There's some negative, on the floor with it, but it's passing through. We have a legislative request right now for capital outlay, and it looks great. Why? Because it's going along with all of this movement that New Mexico has right now with food security, and supporting the local growers. We have Rachel and we have Tyler, who are going to be able to sit with you guys and get a farm number if you guys don't have one yet. So they'll help you with that. You guys need business development plan and cost of goods sold and putting that together. They'll get you the help for that. So we have a resource center here at TCEDC now that is going to help you guys do that and move you guys forth. I don't feel alone because I see all of you in the room. You guys don't feel alone because we're here. We're going to stay here. We're deeply rooted. We live in this community. We need to feed off of the community, and we need to empower our community. And so we're not going to be part of the mitote, señor. We're not. We'll move forward, and again, share your stories. That is what's going to get us to the next level.
Hi, thank you so much for having this session. My name is Jessie. I've had the joy of working with Quivira Coalition for the past few months. And I had an idea around the storytelling and the bridging the gap between people in this room and the people who maybe do not understand. I think this sheet and maybe a lot of the communication surrounding this amazing project could use some numbers around the economic impact and the multiplier effect that could be seen for ranchers as well as this community. So I believe that this project, and I think everybody here believes this project is much more than numbers, but maybe that could be something that could translate to folks. So looking at like, what is the price differential for producers who are traveling very far versus getting to process their meats here? And what is the price differential of like how much money actually gets to stay within this community for producers and consumers all at once? So having like quick facts like that, I think could really make an impact, because whether we like it or not, many people make their decisions very quickly. And so having very quick facts based on numbers could be helpful.
Great, thank you.
My name's Jose. I have a quick question. I foresee the facility getting full really quick with our community of farmers that are wanting to get their beef, their whatever meat processed. My question is what's going to be done to help with that? Because I oversee it happening. Everyone's going to want to go in at the same time. What's the plan for that when that happens?
It's scheduled, as you guys go out to melts, you have to get on the schedule, so basically there's been within the ranchers, the concern is always, well, I, grow more than him and I have more animals and I should have preference, because absolutely not, you get on the schedule and first come, first serve. It's equality for everyone, and so that you have, the way we operate in the kitchen, and the way we help the people in the kitchen is there's certain producers, the wholesale producers that already have a market, okay? They're already out there. They have to meet that market. So if that salsa has to be in the shelves, then they do take some sort of priority versus, someone coming in and wanting to make cookies for a party on Saturday. Because we are a community kitchen as well. So that there is certain instances that need to be looked at, markets need to be met and filled, but it's an open door policy. Basically you come to us. How we're going to address that and how we need to fill that is to make sure that we have the workforce, so that we say that we have 5 people and it's going to take 5 people to operate this, then we need to make sure we have 8, 10 people in line to make sure and meet that demand. Right now, Lucas is talking about a 2-day slaughter and 3 days process. If there's more slaughter days that need to happen, then they slaughter more on that day. Right now, if he's processing, 3, 4, 5 a day, then with the right and properly trained workforce, he can go up on that. Again, we're looking to fulfill the need, okay? We're looking to make sure that Taos County, our northern communities are serviced, okay? This is our community. The Matanza was operating on a 100-mile radius. 100-mile radius basically covers a lot of ground. Our local is first. That is a priority. We do need to make sure that, my biggest dream and my biggest factor here is that I get local beef into the institutions. I want our kids to eat that local healthy beef. I want our seniors to have that through the senior center, those are efforts that we need to see. But I also recognize that it's not feasible for a lot of you to be able to provide the institutional need because of the cost behind the institution. So we need to make money for you guys in other areas and in other methods to be able to allow you and afford you to sell to the institutions, I tell my salsa maker, I said, you sell salsa and you get $9 per container. The schools aren't going to pay you that. There's just no way. The money's just not there. So how do you deflect that and how do you put that into numbers? She's right. It's all about the numbers. How do you make it happen? Well, he doesn't have to package individually for the school. He can sell in 5-gallon jugs, each container that he's not going to use for 5 gallons. No label per container. He's got a guaranteed check at the end of the month, so everybody can count on that check because the school comes through. It's a guaranteed payment. So you don't have to distribute, you don't have to come and get your product and then go put it out and restock your shelves. So there's some cost savings there. So it's really putting the numbers on paper and making sure that we're identifying those for-profit items that you can sell, to a SEC in Arroyo Seco, to make sure that we can afford for you guys to put that local beef into the markets. As it comes along, I think we've prepared, and the answer to that is going to be the workforce. We need to make sure we have people in line, and there's people knocking on the door. I'm always questioning how I'm going to be able to hire the person that already works at Albertsons, to be able to come and cut meat for us when he's part of a union, So are they willing to, what is it that we need to do? We need to make money, and we need to be able to afford the people that we need and bring those professionals. We have talent here, so we need to utilize it and be prepared for the fast growth. I agree with you. I think people are going to be knocking down the door, and we are going to meet our minimums right away. Let's grow. It doesn't say that we don't have to grow. If the local demand is what is making us grow, and we're not having to service anything else, then so be it.
Thank you, Mercedes. Mark Schutz, I started with, obviously the Matanza was started, but I couldn't have even started raising beef. I bought 3 from John and a couple dozen from Andy way back in early 2000s, and I have 30 on the field right now. I ship about 8 to 12 a year, typically to Western Way, Moriarty. We're paying $800 to $1,000 an animal. Whatever it costs the Matanza to stay afloat, I'm thrilled to pay it for this reason that we're circulating the money amongst ourselves. My customers have to bear that burden. I mostly sell direct to private individuals and one restaurant in town that's real consistent. The point I wanted to make was that the foundation, this is obvious to so many people, forgive me for stating the obvious, but the foundation of this Matanza is forage. And our forage, in many cases, is really worn down. People know that the sagebrush desert used to be big grasslands. And a lot of the pastures look kind of worse than some of the sage land, because they've all been beaten down and they're full of prairie dogs, tussauds, and ants. And so, because I went from 3 animals to 30, I had to start looking for more land. You can't support 30 animals on the 20 acres I inherited. So what that is that it's become an economic driver for me to go and build partnerships with landowners in the community who are older, or maybe they have another job, maybe they're an attorney or a lawyer, and we need all that land functioning for so many reasons. It saves every one of those property owners close to $600 an acre a year that somebody's growing hay on their land or running livestock. So we're all keeping that alive. Not to mention, every drop of water you turn out into the fields within the acequia is recharging the aquifer. And with all the new people coming to Taos, the aquifer really, we've always had plenty of water for our wells mostly. I know some wells have gone dry. That's going to be more and more of a problem. So in a way I see the Matanza actually getting reestablished. It's going to be an epicenter of success of our meadows. Our vegas, and we really need our ag land to be functional for us to have a comprehensive economy and a healthy economy where we're happy to live. So I think when people are against this, and for any of us that are networking, I think that's really a good pitch. We could be against this one little building. Let's calm down about what it is, because everywhere I take my animals, it's so mellow. You'd be hard-pressed to find anything offensive. Mel's is right in a neighborhood in Colorado. And the one in Moriarty is you could walk right by on the street and never notice anything was going on. So that's the scale. And I think they process way more at Western Way than you're probably going to see in the first few years here. So all that together, I think, gives this a really strong pitch. Again, I see it more as an epicenter for the growth of the agricultural community being super healthy here. So thank you.
Just getting back to your question really quick about this filling up. So there are little processing facilities opening up around northern New Mexico as we speak. We're going to do one in Rico and in Chana. And we're going to have state meat inspection. It's looking extremely likely that it will be passing this legislative session. So, I think all of you left are producers at this point, are pretty close. So you're all familiar with the fact that we've got 2 USDA inspectors handling all of New Mexico right now, and that's a huge bottleneck for new processing facilities coming up, or processing facilities that do come up being able to be inspected and not custom. So state meat inspection, it has its last committee hearing early tomorrow morning, and then it goes to the floor, and that's it. It's passed, it's done, the governor's going to sign it, and We should start having state meat inspection in, the plan from the livestock board is to have inspectors on the ground in January of 2025. If I've got my numbers right, don't quote me on this, but I believe they're planning on having 6 right out of the gate and moving up to 16. So that's going to dramatically increase the opportunities for smaller processors in our neighboring communities to come on board. And so this is just going to be part of the ecosystem of facilities that is keeping northern New Mexico's animal ag industry alive. So don't panic, there's hope. This bottleneck is going to loosen up a little bit in the near future.
Quick comment on some of the thoughts about changing your herd management practices to keep up with dates. Often, right, people go out and they'll say, well, I'll take 4 dates now, and I'll take 4 dates in 3 months, and that's okay to do. I want to throw out a good resource that's out there. There's an advocacy group called Southwest Grass-Fed Livestock Alliance, SWGLA. The membership fee is pretty minor, but there's a ton of resources on there. They got a lot of grant funding from USDA in the past. There's kind of harvest scheduling Excel sheets that are very easy to use and can start. I really can't say enough good about that program and how you can really start thinking about your herd management, your rotations, all of that in the context of finishing out and then getting to a processing facility. So that's SWGLA, Southwest Grass-Fed Alliance. All the board are ranchers from New Mexico. It's very New Mexico based, although theoretically it's not, but the board's heavily New Mexico influenced. So.
Thank you, Will.
So, Mercedes, I'm going to play the little devil's advocate here since you and most of the board members are here. So my question to you guys is, I understand that this is a non-profit situation, but is this plant going to be for profit? Is this plant going to be sustainable and stand on its own?
Absolutely. There is no nonprofit. My understanding of a nonprofit is we have to reinvest that's where these wages are going to come from. That's where we're going to reinvest in equipment, keep up to date, and we have to make a profit, and we have to stand on our own. This dependency on grants cannot continue, TCEDC cannot, follow that model. We need to generate income to be able to sustain. We need to make income, we need to earn income to be able to feed you guys, so.
There was a lot of us back in the early, and my question comes from the mobile Matanza in its inception. And it crashed and burned. And it only lived because of donations from wealthy people or
not only
grants.
that, it was the buzz at the time, so that it came to fruition and that it was only the second one in the nation was Big Buzz, There was business plan that we never really followed internally. I'm the first one to tell you, that it failed because we didn't run it properly,
I want to commend you guys on getting Lucas Salazar because
no, absolutely. That is going to be the key to
actually
our
make this
success.
work.
Absolutely, and he is behind the whole project, so that we are investing as much time as we are investing in it is for a success. We need to make sure that it does have the business plan, that we follow a business model, and that we make it an economically viable project. So absolutely, full commitment on that. Thank you for the devil's advocate. You need to stay.
Should I respond to that? Yes, the initial pilot program for the Matanza did fail. There's no question about that.
I know.
And what happened once it failed was that there were 3 or 4 years of analysis because the New Mexico Department of Agriculture was interested, the United States Department of Agriculture was interested out of the Farmington office, and they did assessments of this very important model because, as Mercedes has said, this can work. And it really does lower the cost to local livestock producers and allows them to make a profit. These analyses, and there was another one done by the, what's that foundation in San Diego? Thornburg. There were 3 analyses, and they said, yes, it failed. Here's the reasons why. And I have it written down. I'll give you my card, we can talk, and I'll give you the reports. In my communications with them, Mr. Oldham from Farmington, Mr. Swillington from Las Cruces, etc., and from legislators.
I'm not as concerned about those things as I was the management at the time.
I'm not finished. And I said, this can work. And these analysis came out with how this can work. And the Farmington office came out with a analysis and a proposal. And the Department of Agriculture in Las Cruces did a report. So this hasn't been ignored. This is something that has been very well considered by a number of major agencies for its validity as a model. And so we understand this.
I was
That's why
specifically talking about local management.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was brought out in the analysis.
No, absolutely, and
And that's-
Molly was part of the initial proposal, and it was a great proposal, it was supported effortlessly. Management is right, so a business plan, and to follow by the business plan, is the way to go forth. So, I mean, we could look at analysis till we're blue in the face, we need to figure out our community, and we need to figure out what's working here and how to do it here. And I think we're there, we've addressed the bottlenecks that were the issue in the past, and we've incorporated them into the business plan that is going to move forward. So, management is the key, and that we recognize that there needs to be a profit, absolutely. We're not gonna operate on previous, business model or lack thereof, so got my commitment on that one.
Got a good question back here?
So, can I just ask a quick question? My name is Tom Allen. I'm not a producer. We're not producers. About getting information that we can disseminate to people that aren't for this. Is this the fact sheet that you keep talking about?
That is the fact sheet that I keep talking about.
Okay,
That is the fact
is it available online for us to download and disseminate to others, and will it be updated?
Yes.
There is a link on the homepage, so if you go to tcedc.org, scroll down to the Matanza section and you'll see a link there.
And there'll be a link
It says
there.
view fact sheet, yeah.
And we're free to disseminate
Yeah,
this?
absolutely.
Absolutely, so it's downloadable, it's printable, and it will be updated as the facts change, so as we get more information and we solidify everything, then that will be updated. It's also going to include more information, so that we can statistically speak to those numbers. That is the driver, that you see those numbers on paper is gonna be, the economic factor that a lot of the people that are against it do listen to right now, so.
Right, but they don't have right now.
They don't
That's
have,
what
well-
we need to get out and.
And again, that it's on the webpage, and that they know where to go. I think it's been.
They won't go there, we have to go there and get it, and get it to them.
They didn't come here.
Whatever you
They
need
didn't
from
come
us
here, they're not gonna go to your website.
disperse those, and yeah, we've got printed copies that you can take with you now, and yeah, whatever helps. Thanks for that.
They'll go to your website.
Great, thank you.
You're up. No, you're up. I've been trying to get you.
It's just a real quick question. Sorry if it's already been covered. Is the business model to have the mobile Matanza functioning, serving a certain radius, and also be able to bring in animals?
Yes, so that's why I keep calling it a semi-mobile. So the mobile slaughter unit is still available. It will go out to staging areas within a 100-mile radius to be able to slaughter. But then the ability of the rancher bringing the animals to us is the ability. That's why we're gonna have the corrals built.
A staging area, not going on specific farms.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So that was one of our bottlenecks. I shared at the previous meeting, where most people weren't privy to the fact that when the Matanza was going to a lot of these ranches, we were having to tear down fences when going in and having to build them back up when coming back out, because our roadways are so narrow. And we're talking about a semi here, so that wasn't as feasible. Now, because we are, the word underserved, we were talking about yesterday, it's underheard. I don't, we don't like it, we're not underserved, because you can't be underserved when you're not even being served at all. So you're underheard, and a friend of us that we admire and respect a lot shared that with us. So because we do commit to the underheard, then we are gonna build a mechanism to go to that rancher that may be 100 years old, but still has 3 cows, and he wants to put that meat into this organization and put it into the local. We'll build a mechanism for that. I mean, that is what we're all about. We need to listen to everyone and commit to everyone. That it's not viable for the Matanza to go to every farm and ranch. It's just not, the water that is needed, for the processing, the chute that is needed, the corral that is needed. Not every ranch will have that, and so we need to go to staging areas. And so those staging areas will be. Now, the greatest part of the mobile slaughter unit that is going to remain is that we're going to be able to serve the tribal bison programs, because they require a field harvest, and the Matanza can come into the field at the pueblos and provide that humane slaughter on site. They have a cultural aspect to them, as we do with our Matanzas. So for them, it is a cultural aspect to have their bison slaughtered. So that Matanza mobile slaughter unit is going to remain with that project in mind.
I just want to say thank you to you and the whole team for what you're doing here. Just a quick question. My name's Daryl Manestas. Is there a process, or will there be a process in place to process what they call the drop? All the bones, the hides, whether it's the cattle hide or the wool from sheep.
Absolutely. So there is a project, and what we are hoping are to build out small businesses that can take care of the byproduct.
Taos
So
dog
assisting,
Taos dog chew tools.
Yeah. Well, my name for it isn't all that attractive, but that's how it started, the dead cow project. Not attractive, but you have to do something, and it's entirely viable.
These kind of slaughter pens can create opportunities for other businesses. And we've seen this a lot.
The value
They can
added.
create, yes, exactly, value-added businesses that spawn as a result.
So we'll have to sit down and, go ahead. John out up there, is that?
No, totally right. Basically, Abel, thank you to you guys and the TCEDC. You're an amazing organization, and I've loved you for years. I think what all of this really boils down to for me, and just like my main talking point, and like how I describe this to people who might be like skeptical or don't really know what's going on with all of it, is just kind of like, this is not a new concept. Like the idea of a community meat processing, whether it be a singular person or a group of 5 or an organization, is like very ancient and very like culturally important to any group of people, whether it be a small town or like a whole city, And I think bringing this concept back to like its roots of its like how important it is like on a food scale is incredibly valid, and like I don't know, I just think it's great what you guys are doing, and yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Leanne, because we sit in economic development conferences and everybody talks in Taos about tourism and the arts, and they're like, well, they're sexy, but we're becoming sexy. We're not sexy up, We are sexy as well. So when they talk about it, we're going to be right out there, agro tours and the whole.
Exactly. It's like this is what they're talking about. The local, the flow. This is it. This is it.
Yes.
And it's not new. It's not new.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just on some of these, kind of some of the discussion around some of the alternate products that can come out of, the processing. I recently took some cows to Tierra Maria to the USDA plant there, and it's very interesting in that a good portion of their effort is dedicated to these alternate products. They will take like what would be bones. They smoke them. Then they individually package them and sell them on Amazon as dog treats, for instance.
Yeah.
They, you know, you can turn a whole cow into hot dogs if you want to. Brats and a number of other products that they will do for you and your cattle. And so there's a lot of potential there. Also back to, your comment around, I know the discussion around, and I think you've referred to it in terms of eventually using the mobile nature of the Matanza to go to an aggregation point in the northern part of the county, maybe the southern part of the county, where you have some facilities and do occasional slaughters there and bring those back. That's still part of the plan, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that still is. The talks with Mora, have been revived, and so the staging area in Mora will be a done deal. Virgil's place, is being looked at, up north. I mean, we need facilities, so I think that in order for us to be able to get to our 100-mile radius in our county, we need those staging areas. It's economically viable to go to staging areas. It is not, however, to go to individual ranches anymore. I just can't see, putting the burden into, the team to have to take down, the fences and put them back up.
You can't do the volume that way.
No, absolutely not. And with gas prices right now, it's not viable.
For one cow.
Yeah, absolutely. That it's going to depend on the scheduling, and it's going to be a scheduling, maneuvering. We need to make sure that schedule, is filled, and that we're constantly, in operation. We can't have part-time crews. We need to invest in full-time crews, so that they can earn a living, so that they know that there's dependable employment. We can't say, oh no, today we're not processing. Oh no, today we're not. And we need multi-skills, we need people who can wear a lot of hats, so the CDL driver that drives the truck can't only be the CDL driver, he's got to be like the slaughter assistant, and wear those multi-hats. Do we have that talent in our? Absolutely, so we basically have, there's children of some of our partners that are already wanting to participate. They want to learn meat cutting, they want to learn this, because they do have land that they know they're going to inherit, that they want to invest their time in. So that is the rewarding part of all of this. So thank you.
Quick question. Quick question. Well, we've been talking about value-added products, and I'm just curious, at the very start of your project and in this facility, what processing will be available to the producers? To what extent will you process the meat? Are there value-added products that will be available through your facility?
Not to begin with, no. So the extent of our value processing is going to be, that we are getting, value-added equipment. So we're going to have meatball makers, to be able to go into the schools, because what the school is going to be able to afford is ground beef, I mean, a roast here and there, but so that there's more automated systems to these value-added, but we're not going to be able to smoke, and process right away. We're not, that is where we are heading, and that's going to be part of the economic value to the whole project. Absolutely.
You all are in a good position for that, because Lucas has, at the Salazar facility, they do value added.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely has the expertise to bring that to the table, absolutely.
I just want to thank you. This has been very informative, and I like what you said. I think words are very powerful, and so a lot of these people against it, they don't like the sound of slaughterhouse. You called it a community meat processing, and I think we should focus on those words.
Absolutely. Slaughter, when they refer to things as a slaughterhouse, we're not a slaughterhouse, I mean, they have this visual mental picture of, this horrid thing and what happens, that we call it, a matanza, and that people refer to that. At our previous meeting, people were saying, don't call it a matanza. That is not what it is. It's exactly what it is, because it's a cultural thing in this area. It is a family encrusted in you. It was what you used to do as a kid and what you believe when you humanely slaughter. And when it's a program, it's not only a project that is looking at the slaughter or the harvest. We call it a harvest. So harvest days are what we put on our calendar, It's a harvest, A harvest vegetables and fruits grow out of our, to me, why can't it be? It's a harvest, you know, so when we harvest out there, it is a cultural thing for all of us in this room, you know, so exactly, it's a community, exactly. That is the key, community.
So I should have made this announcement when there was 400 many people in the room. But here we are, I'm gonna make it now. So there's a bunch of fun things coming up in the community that I want you guys all to know about. One is we have a Land Stewards Happy Hour every other month.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, come join us. Let's have this conversation over beer. Much better idea. So that's going to be, we're doing it a week late. It's usually the second Wednesday of every week, but I figured everybody would prefer to spend Valentine's Day with their sweethearts and not with me. So we're doing it on the 21st at the Sagebrush, 5:30. Everybody's welcome. We like to talk about land and water and cover crops and all sorts of interesting things. The best one to come out of the last one was Daryl's idea to use street sweepers as scratching posts for cattle. So great ideas come out of these happy hours, so please join us. And if anyone knows how to get hold of street sweepers, let Daryl know. And the 21st. 5:30, Sagebrush. And every other month, second Wednesday, probably at the Sagebrush, unless they kick us out eventually. The other big thing that's happening that's really exciting, I know a lot of you in this room are interested in regenerative agriculture or actively practicing regenerative agriculture. We have two of the leading voices, one in all of Northern and Central America and one in the world on soil health and regenerative agriculture. And that's Ray Archuleta and Alejandro Carrillo are coming to Taos on the 23rd and 24th of this month. TCEDC, my organization, Taos Valley Safety Association, a bunch of other organizations are helping make this happen. It's very, very exciting. Ray has hung out with us a bunch, but Alejandro is someone that our community has really wanted to hear from. He is a rancher down in Chihuahua, Mexico, and he is raising cattle on less than 9 inches of rain a year. And he has had profound positive impacts on his land implementing regenerative practices. He's working with universities in Mexico and the United States and conservation groups to measure water retention, carbon sequestration, biodiversity, particularly bird species is one of the big things he's focusing on. And actually the small water cycle. They're actually finding that the small water cycle around his area is changing because of the amount of moisture that he's holding in his soils and in plants on his land. So he is quite the badass and a great rancher to learn from. And Ray is from Espanola, so he's one of ours. He farms in Missouri where the land is cheap now, but he comes back and hangs out with his parents and us whenever he can. So I'm talking way too much about this. February 23rd is the big event. There will be two events. One will be at the Ag Center, Intro to Regenerative Agriculture and Soil Health at 9 o'clock. Then that night is going to be a big community event that doesn't quite have a name yet at the TCA. This is a great event. If you guys know people that are really concerned about the impact that cattle can have on our land, this is going to be a great event for them to come to. This is going to be really talking about how good animal management practices can mitigate climate change and drought and improve biodiversity and all those good things that we all in this room know cattle can do. So evening of the 23rd, big event at the TCA, 6:30. Morning of the 24th, also at the Ag Center, Alejandro Carrillo will be taking the lead on animal management in regenerative systems, which is going to include animal selection, epigenetics, rotational grazing, and all the questions that you guys bring to the table to learn about animal management for, yes, Jesse.
Where can we find that information written down?
It is nowhere right now. You guys are the first people in the county outside of us partners to.
We'll post it, and if you guys signed in, you know, we'll have you guys in our contact sheets and we'll send out all event information.
We are going to put it will be all over Facebook, it will be on the radio, it's going to be in the newspaper, there's going to be flyers around town, this information will be getting out. Please help us get it out because we're obviously a little off the back on getting the word out. And please join us, we'd love to have you.
Sure.
We try and make as much as we can for free.
I have been trying to decide what to say. The reason that I came is because I had a friend that was extremely upset after reading all of the very emotional sheet of stuff that this was about, and that was the first I realized there was controversy. And so, we had a conversation for a while. It seemed like a pretty normal project to me. But the people that are really against, I think, are coming from a really emotional place of like animals, humanity, pollution, smell, property values. Anyway, you guys you're experts in your field, and you already know what we've been talking about here, like very well, and it's deeply ingrained in you. But these people, this is new. And so I just encourage you that when you go out there and you network or you hear something, that you come from a place of education and you come from a place of listening to their concerns, because you probably will want to roll your eyes and lose your temper. But in order to get, some kind of consensus, or somebody said bridging gaps, understanding, please be patient when you don't feel like it, and please try to import, something of educational value where they can go away and think about it, as opposed to going away and being angry with you or angry with everything. If you can just kind of move that needle forward. I mean, I didn't know anything about it, and by the end of a day of texting back and forth, she was like, maybe if you started a Substack, Liz, it might be less time than educating me. And I didn't even know anything about it. So you can do this. You just have to be a little patient with things that you already know.
As a local,
Thank you.
As a local, I have to justify myself to anybody for what I've done and my family has done for centuries. I find that really screwed up. If they've got an emotional problem, that is their problem. And for me to justify myself to anybody about what I do in my life or how I raise my animals or anything like that, that's not going to happen. That's why I said, get your due diligence, plant your feet, and go. I've been in so many committees and so much stuff in Taos and heard so many opinions about what goes on in California, what goes on in New York, what goes on in Louisiana, what goes on in Texas. This is my fucking hometown. And I really don't care about anybody else's emotions, because they surely do not care about mine. This is my livelihood. And my livelihood goes down to my granddaughters, my great-grandkids, and I'm sorry, but I can't be sympathetic to somebody else's feelings about my way of life.
Send him to talk to me or
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Enjoy it again. We're going to get a little more structure here and do it in But thank you. Stay dry. Be careful out there. And we will see you on the We thank you guys.